chief investigator from the Nevada State Troopers. Listen.
Friends, a few moments ago I told you of the tragic death of Helen Camelot, Las Vegas showgirl. Now you're about to hear one of the most unusual recordings I've ever brought you. The questioning of an actual suspect. The questioner is Lieutenant Blake of the Nevada State Troopers. The suspect is myself.
I don't know whether you caught that broadcast a few months ago. If not, you'll meet the broadcaster for the first time in a case called Kitchen Kill. Las Vegas, Nevada is an around-the-clock town. Its casinos and restaurants never close their doors. A lot of them don't have any doors. Half the entertainers, the employees, and a lot of the visitors work and play while the other half sleeps. It's a way of life in a city that lives by the calendar instead of the clock. A 2:30 a.m. dinner date with a dancer after the last show was no more unusual than a supper date with a girl back home.
Hey, beautiful. Manager, somebody help, quick! Call a doctor. Open the window and shut off the gas. Dead.
I was in Las Vegas questioning a robbery suspect Sheriff Bronson's boys had picked up for the Carson City Police. The questioning had been going on for 5 hours. All we'd gotten out of our suspect was a pleasant smile and a shake of his head.
All right, Keith, take him out of here. Hello? Yeah. Are you the manager? Well, don't touch anything till we get there. Anything.
And I told the manager I'd break his arm if he tried to put me out.
Oh, we didn't want anything touched.
I didn't touch anything. Except Helen when I carried her out.
How'd you get in?
The door was unlocked.
The windows are all closed?
Yeah, she hated fresh air. And I nagged her about it all the time. You see, this wouldn't have happened if she'd had a window open.
What'd you say your name is?
Hoskins. Jeff Hoskins. I'm a lifeguard over at the Tropicana.
Look, will you wait outside, Hoskins? Just sit in the sheriff's car. We'll talk to you later.
Look, can I stay with her? Can't we talk here?
Just wait outside. Frank, I'll talk to him later.
He had it bad, don't you think so?
Yeah, maybe.
Asphyxia, for sure. I can tell by her color. Of course, a full post-mortem may show contributing causes.
Well, I'll move her right after Kenny gets his pictures.
They found her at 2:30. My guess is that the time of death was about an hour earlier. 1:30.
Is something bothering you?
You've seen these gas asphyxiation cases before?
Yeah, several times. Don't they usually try to get to a door or a window? Everyone I ever saw did.
Hoskins says he found her right where she is.
If she didn't try to move...
You think she was out cold for some other reason?
She could have just been sleeping soundly.
Yeah, or she could have been drugged.
That's why I'm going to do a complete post-mortem. As soon as I've had a couple of hours sleep. I'll see you later, man.
Yeah, Doc.
Something smells, Rod. Something besides the gas.
Now, we can find other people to know if she slept with the windows closed.
Well, not just that. The windows alone, possible. The fact she didn't move when the gas began to suffocate her, that's possible. She took something to make her sleep. Probably. Separately, they don't mean very much, but put them all together, something smells.
we better get some sleep, John. I've been standing here looking right at that and didn't see it till now.
Looking at what?
Murder.
I'm glad you're along, Rob, but I don't see what you mean.
Well, look at the soup on those burner jets. Now, the soup boiled over and put out the flame. But there isn't any goo in the jets. Now, somebody wiped them off after the soup boiled over.
If it had been the girl, she'd have turned the gas off. Maybe the pressure of the gas blew the soup out.
It probably would have if the killer had had a little more patience. If you look closer, that burner's been wiped, especially on top. Here it is. Paper napkin with soup on it. It'd be the same soup. Whoever it was figured it wasn't important if it was on a paper napkin, so they just threw it in there.
I want some fingerprint men out here. I'll call in.
Well, you won't find any prints on these things, even the girls. They've been wiped clean.
She was just about the most wonderful character you ever met. I ever met. Linda died because a silly pan of soup had to boil over.
You said you went over there about 2:30.
Exactly 2:30.
Why 2:30 exactly?
That's when she told me to come over.
But after the late show?
No, she didn't work last night. I talked to her earlier on the phone. She said she was feeling kind of rocky.
You waited till 2:30 to go over?
Yeah?
You suppose she had a date with someone else earlier?
She just said she wasn't feeling well. For me to drop by about 2:30. If she felt up to it, we'd go out and get a bite to eat. Obviously, she wasn't feeling up to it. She was fixing that blasted soup.
No, she wasn't fixing the soup. Whoever killed her was to make it look like an accident.
Killed her? Oh, no, you're wrong, man. Look, I found her. I saw everything you saw.
She was murdered.
Well, how do you know?
Well, if you killed her, Hoskins, I'll let you figure out the mistakes you made.
If I killed her?
Look, I want a lot of answers.
All right. She told me to come over at 2:30 because she had an earlier date. She'd gone off the deep end over some guy. Granson, his name is. I don't know him. She didn't want to fall for him. He's older than she was. A lot older. She just couldn't help herself, she said. He had it for her. Well, anyway, she was honest about it. She told me about it. It's a funny thing, she said she thought she'd die if he didn't marry her.
Where can I find this Granson?
Oh, El Rancho or Sahara, one or the other. El Rancho, I think. All the time. When I thought it was an accident, I figured you might misunderstand about Helen, so I said the door was unlocked.
We'd have found it on you. The jailer would have.
Yeah, I know.
Hoskins, we're going to book you as a material witness.
All right, but I want you to know that Helen didn't give me that key. You see, I used to go with a girl who lived with her, Betty Dolan.
Break it up because of Helen?
Yes. Betty moved out about a month ago. She gave me that key and asked me to give it back to Helen for her. I don't know, I just liked having it. But I never used it before.
Where can we find Betty Dolan?
She works the slots, change girl at the Tropicana.
John, I want that motel room locked up tight. Oh, and find a man named Granson. He's staying either at the El Rancho or the Sahara. May I find Betty Dolan?
Rod.
Did you pick up Granson?
No, but I've got on all points on him. He checked out of the hotel last night. Left town, the clerk said.
But he wasn't about to marry his Helen Camelot.
I'll say he wasn't. Mr. Granston and his wife checked out. Is that Betty Dolan?
Oh, yeah, I haven't had a chance to talk to her. I just got here.
And he said you left the jail about 2 hours ago.
Yeah, I talked Doc Preston out of a couple of hours sleep. He ran some quick lab tests for me.
Oh, what happened?
Yeah, she died of suffocation from the gas. She was under heavy sedation. She had slept through a train wreck.
I'll keep after Cranston.
Yeah. Hello, Betty.
Good morning.
Talk to you a minute?
Sure, as long as I'm not busy.
Rod Blake, state trooper.
Hello, Rod.
It's about Helen Camelot.
What'd she say I did now? Steal her bottle of bleach?
No, but there has been a little trouble.
She's in trouble for a change?
A little.
Well, you just brightened my whole day. I guess there's no use in my asking you what the trouble is until you're ready to tell me.
Do you have any idea what it is?
Well, to tell you the truth, between you and I, every morning I wake up and I say to myself, maybe this will be the day someone will come up to me and say, did you hear about Helen? She just got run over by a truck, or her pink nightgown caught on fire. Good luck.
I understand she appropriated one of your boyfriends.
Yeah, she did. Just for kicks, too. I'd rather not talk about it. Is it necessary?
But you used to live with her. Did she ever mention her parents, her family?
Are you kidding? Girls like Helen aren't born. They just come up out of the swamp. Somehow manage to grow up and look like human beings. Maybe that's how they fool us. I guess she spoke well of me, too.
Oh, she didn't say anything about you. She's dead. And it wasn't a truck.
Guess that makes a fool out of the guy who once said only the good die young. Was it an accident?
Well, it looked like an accident when Jeff Hoskins found her. It wasn't, though. She was killed.
Not Jeff. I better not say anything else.
Why not?
Well, if I say anything wrong about her, I'll never get Jeff back. And I want him back.
Well, you're going to have to talk enough to establish an alibi. From midnight to 2 o'clock, anyway.
I was home in bed. Go look at my pillow. It takes a lot of hours and a lot of tears to get a pillow that wet.
Do you know a man named Granson?
Granson? Helen just kept him around for his money. He was pushing 60. Jeff around for his muscles. And then there was Ted Joyner. She must have had a father fixation. She would have kept me around for laughs, too, only I quit laughing.
Joyner's a new name.
He's a disc jockey, gossip columnist. Look, he's like a big brother, a father to practically all the girls here in town. In fact, I know he helped Helen when she first came out here. As far as that goes, he helped me, too, got me this job.
Any idea where I can find him?
Oh, he hangs around all the big hotels. I think he's going to be out at the pool to tape some interviews this morning.
You just be around where you can find you, will you, Betty?
Sure. Look, cross Joyner off your list. This is a nice guy. Completely. One of the nicest guys in this town. I guess I shouldn't have said a thing like that, should I?
Why?
Well, in a murder mystery, it's always the nice guy who did it, isn't it?
Not always. Ted Joyner was a nationally known disc jockey and newspaper columnist who preferred the relaxed life in Las Vegas to the more lucrative atmosphere of the big cities.
That, friends, was an interview with one of Hollywood's loveliest glamour creatures, Miss Gloria Carroll. Recorded right here at Poolside earlier in the day.
You have a minute, Mr. Joyner? Lieutenant Blake, state trooper.
How do you do? It's about Helen Camelot, of course.
Yes.
I don't know if I can talk about it without falling apart. I've been doing this business as usual procedure, trying hard not to think about it. Do you think Hoskins killed her?
Was she killed?
When my news source told me that you'd locked Hoskins up, it spelled suspicion of homicide.
Well, I talked to Hoskins and Betty Dolan.
And now me. Do you suspect me, Lieutenant? Oh, would you mind if I record this?
All right. I'd like to have a record of our conversation. Whether I'll let you put it on the air or whether you'll want to after you hear my question is something else.
Friends, a few minutes ago I told you of the tragic death of Helen Camelot, Las Vegas showgirl. Now you're about to hear the most unusual recording I've ever brought you. The questioning of an actual suspect. The questioner is Lieutenant Blake of Nevada State Troopers. The suspect is myself. Lieutenant, what made you switch the investigation from one of apparent accident to homicide?
Now, let's not reverse the positions, Mr. Joyner. I'm the investigator.
I'm sorry.
This is routine, of course, asking you where you were last night between, say, midnight and 2 this morning.
Is that when it was happening? Hotel hopping, seeing shows, interviewing people. I won't have any trouble with an alibi. Have you questioned a man named Granson?
No, not yet. Just Jeff Hoskins and Betty Dolan. Jeff said Helen Camelot was a wonderful girl. Honest, kind.
Well, let's not record what Betty said of her. It might get on the air.
Which is right.
Helen wasn't as good as Jeff thought, nor as bad as Betty thought. She was, well, just as you chose to see her. I saw her with understanding and a very deep affection. I couldn't have loved her more if she'd been my own daughter.
You sure you don't want to turn that thing off for a minute? You say you loved her as a daughter?
I'm 46 years old, Lieutenant. Helen was 23. I'm flattered at the implication of a romance, but there wasn't one. No, I have a heart condition. Fatherly affection for Helen, or for anyone else for that matter, is all I could dare allow myself. Dr. Wenner is my doctor, in case you want to confirm that.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Joyner. I'll talk to you later. Oh, Dr. Wenner?
Yes?
I'm Lieutenant Blake, State Trooper.
Oh, yes. Sheriff's office called, said you were coming over. Come on in. You sick?
No, I just wanted to ask you a couple of questions about a patient of yours. I'll keep them ethical.
Good. You don't mind if I continue with a small operation while we talk? I'm busier in a bird dog. Scalpel? How much for lunch?
Oh, no thanks. I just had some down the street.
My nurse generally fixes it for me in here, but this is her day off. Oh, sit down. Was it about that patient I lost this morning, that nice girl?
Was Helen Camelot your patient?
Oh, sure. A healthy one. Nothing wrong with her, just nerves. All in her head. And a heart, too, I guess.
Did you treat her last night?
Oh, sure. Called me about midnight, went over to her room, gave her a sedative. Didn't the coroner tell you she was under sedation? No butter.
I came here to ask you about Mr. Joyner.
She dead, too?
Oh, no.
Well, they will be. Today, tomorrow, next year, 20 years from now. Guess we'll all be dead 20 years from now.
Well, he told me he had a heart condition. He said to ask you about it.
Well, I guess there's nothing unethical about me telling you. The only reason he stays alive is because he takes very good care of himself. Very careful. Ever notice how fastidious we are when somebody else is around? When we're alone, we just pick it up in our fingers and plunk. Well, what else can I tell you about Helen? Shame, beautiful girl.
Oh, just the sedation and Mr. Joyner's heart condition is about all I had to talk about.
Sure you won't have some lunch?
No, thanks. I'll be going.
You know, Joyner could have saved you the trip. He knew I put Helen under sedation. I saw him at the hotel last night.
Thanks again for your help, Doctor.
Quite welcome.
Oh, Sheriff? Oh, Kenny? Oh, you'll do. Look, will you bring your lab crew out to the Cutaway Motel? Yeah, right away. Thanks. I didn't have to ask who this was. It was Granson. And the gun in his pocket looked like the best proof he could have that he didn't know Helen Camelot was dead. He didn't admit he'd come to kill her. He said he intended to scare her. He said Helen had threatened to tell his wife about their romance. It was that or $10,000, Granson said, and he didn't intend to have either happen. He checked out of the hotel intending to run, then realized Helen would find him wherever he went. So he and his wife had checked into a motel down the street. He said he hadn't heard of the tragedy, and this was the first chance he'd had to contact Helen. Oh, hello, John. What can I have?
Got everything you expected at the motel.
Oh, hello, Lieutenant. Sheriff. Thanks for letting me out. I sure need this job.
Come on along.
Progress report, Lieutenant?
Your news source let you down.
You've caught him.
Him?
Granson, I assumed.
We have Granson.
May I record this?
Yes, I'd like to get your statement on tape. Go ahead.
You're still considering me as a suspect.
No, you're no longer a suspect. You're a murderer.
You couldn't be more wrong. He wouldn't murder anybody.
Boy, you dirty...
You can prove this. But then, of course, you can't, because I didn't do it. I suspect this is a trap for you, Betty, so keep your mouth shut.
It's no trap.
Dr. Wenner says he told you he gave Helen Camelot a sedative.
I don't remember if he did or didn't.
You're the one she had the early date with, not Granson. You waited till she was sound asleep, then you put that soup on the stove, and the butter and the plates on the table, so it looked like she dozed off while she was waiting for the soup to heat.
I did.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have bothered to wipe the prints off the pan and the plate. They'd have been Helen's prints.
I don't question as you know what happened, Lieutenant, or how it happened. But can you prove who did it?
We can prove it.
I don't believe it. My news source said there wasn't a fingerprint on anything. Otherwise, you'd have had your man before now.
You think you wiped everything clean?
I think the killer did.
You forgot to wipe the butter.
The butter.
When you unwrapped that cube of butter, you left a perfect thumbprint on it. We missed it the first time around because the print was on the bottom of the cube.
I'm insane, of course. Only an insane man would kill the girl he loved, so she couldn't marry anyone else, even though he could never marry her himself. I've got to see my doctor, Blake.
He's a fine doctor. I recommend him. He told me where to find your fingerprints. You better talk to your lawyer first. Well, that closes another case from the files of State Trooper. See you again next week.